Here are 4 signs you have the wrong Spanish teacher, and I'll start with number 4. They just want to talk. If your teacher spends the whole time just chatting with you in Spanish, making small talk, or running through conversations, it might feel productive, but it's actually a big red flag. That's because conversation by itself doesn't necessarily make you better at Spanish. If all you're doing is talking, your teacher isn't taking the time to identify your strong points and your weaknesses where you need to improve. After all, you're paying this person to teach you, not just to have a conversation with you. This would be like wasting your money on a bad music teacher. Imagine you've just started learning piano and you hire one of the best piano teachers in your city. When you sit down for your weekly lesson, what do you think you're going to be doing? You're not going to spend the entire hour just sitting down and playing pieces from beginning to end or doing a duet with your teacher. Instead, if this is a really good teacher, what they're going to do is drill down on your strengths and weaknesses. They're going to figure out the most important things for you to work on, and they're going to give you specific guidance on how to improve in your skills. Sure, there will be some time that you spend playing the piano for your teacher, but only just enough to get you the best feedback possible. In a piano lesson, it's a waste of time to spend the whole hour just practicing repertoire. And Spanish is exactly the same. There's a big myth that the best way to get better at Spanish is just to practice speaking Spanish as much as possible. Yes, you should be speaking Spanish, but if you hire a Spanish coach to work with you, and then you're just spending an hour every week chatting in Spanish, that's a waste of time. A really good teacher won't just fill your class time with casual conversation. They'll use that time to expand your grammar, vocabulary, comprehension, pronunciation, and anything else that they identify you need to work on. And then they'll also give you specific assignments so that you can improve throughout the week between now and your next lesson. If you have a good Spanish teacher, they'll be giving you specific targeted coaching to move you toward your goals. If all you're doing is practicing together, you need a new teacher. Sign number 3 that you have the wrong Spanish teacher is that they treat you like a child. Maybe they've worked with children before, so they're teaching you colors and numbers and the names of objects. But then they skip over the hard grammar stuff because they assume you'll just pick that up naturally, the way that kids do. But that's a problem because adults don't learn languages the way that kids do. A good Spanish instructor will treat you like an adult learner, not like a kid. So yes, when you were a kid learning your first language, grammar came naturally to you, and you didn't need someone to explain things like subject pronouns and verb conjugations. You absorbed those things naturally. But vocabulary was more difficult. You had to be taught colors and numbers and animal names. That's a perfectly good way to teach kids a language. But as adults, it's the opposite. Vocabulary actually comes naturally to us. We can learn new words easily, like escritorio or teléfono. But for us, grammar is a lot harder, and it requires a lot more effortful work. If you're a native English speaker, your adult brain is already wired to think in English grammar. Retraining that and wiring it into Spanish requires a lot of deliberate practice. So if you have a Spanish teacher who skips grammar or who avoids teaching it because it'll be too boring or it's not important, that's a waste of your time. You don't need to be babied in your Spanish lessons. Instead, a good Spanish teacher will guide you through complex grammar with clear explanations. They'll restructure your Spanish step by step until you're thinking in Spanish sentence structures. And when this happens, Spanish conversations stop being stressful. Over time, you'll stop translating in your head, and instead, you'll simply be speaking Spanish fluently and naturally. Sign number 2 that you have the wrong Spanish teacher is your teacher is trying to keep you entertained. Some teachers think it's their job just to keep things fun and easy. They spend all of your class time playing games, telling jokes, maybe teaching you tongue twisters or fun words that are hard to translate between languages. That can be fun, but it's not getting you where you want to go. This kind of Spanish teacher is kind of like a tour guide who doesn't really know their way around the city, but they do know how to point at interesting things. And that would be a problem. Like, imagine if you moved to London and you keep getting lost because you don't know your way around, so you need to learn the map of the city. What would happen if you hired a random local to be your tour guide? That might be fun because they could show you around some of their favorite landmarks, they'll take you to their favorite restaurants, maybe show you a cool alley that you've never heard of. But after that tour is over, can you still find your way home without getting lost? If you really want to learn something like the map of a city deeply, you don't hire a casual tour guide who's just trying to entertain you. Instead, you should hire an expert navigator. For example, if you're really serious about it, you might hire a London cab driver to train you. These cab drivers know the map of London inside and out. They spend an average of 3 or 4 years learning the streets of the city in order to be certified. These are experts who deeply know the fastest way to get from one point to another in London. And yes, sure, there are millions of people who live in London, who walk around the streets every day and know how to do their own errands and chores. But the vast majority are not expert navigators. Here's the point. When you hire a Spanish teacher, you don't want a random tour guide who's just going to entertain you by pointing at interesting things. Instead, you want an expert navigator who will actually help you learn the language so that you don't get lost. Your goal is to be able to jump into any conversation in Spanish and navigate it with confidence. You won't get there by just being entertained. To wrap up, here's the #1 sign that you have the wrong Spanish teacher. They don't have a plan. This should be an obvious deal breaker, but unfortunately, the vast majority of Spanish teachers don't have a game plan for how to get you fluent. And I'm guessing you've experienced this and how frustrating it is. It's kind of like if you walked into a piano lesson and your teacher turned to you and said, "So, what do you think you need to work on today?" That would be completely ridiculous. You would fire that teacher right away. So why don't we do the same thing when it comes to learning Spanish? If your Spanish teacher really knows what they're doing, they won't ask you what you should be working on. When they meet with you, they'll be able to spot what you need to work on within minutes. And then they will have a roadmap for how to get you to where you want to be. Maybe you first sit down with them and start a short conversation, but you're struggling to put words together. An expert instructor will know exactly what guidance to give. They'll ask the right questions, pinpoint your strengths and weaknesses, and map out the next step on your path to fluency. You'll walk away with specific assignments that you should work on that week, as well as a plan for what you're going to cover in the next coaching session. And this roadmap will never be random. It's never just whatever the teacher feels like covering that day. Instead, they have a plan. They have a logical system that's going to build step by step on everything you already know. If they're a really good teacher, each lesson will challenge you just enough to move forward while always reinforcing what you've already studied. They'll systematically cover all of the important areas, your grammar, your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your comprehension, and always just enough that you're growing every single week. Remember, good music lessons are never just casual jam sessions where you sit around playing your instruments. Instead, they're a series of structured steps that build your skills from the ground up. Spanish is no different. If your teacher doesn't have a clear system, if they don't have a plan that they've used to lead other students to fluency, then you have the wrong Spanish teacher. Speaking of having a plan, you can get access to the exact step-by-step plan that our team of coaches have used to bring thousands of students to fluency in Spanish. We give the whole system away for free at SpanishVideoCourse.com. This is a complete step-by-step roadmap to Spanish fluency, written by me and a team of native Spanish-speaking linguistic experts. It's built on evidence-based learning techniques and a comprehensive system that we've refined over 11 years of coaching. You'll get interactive lessons, focused drills, and clear explanations that'll help everything click. This is all 100% free at SpanishVideoCourse.com. Just click the link in the description and you can dive in right away. Meanwhile, subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based study hacks that'll get you speaking Spanish fluently faster than ever.